What if every quarterback went to their division rivals? Now, pretty much every team can say they have like 3 division rivals, so to make this as fair as possible, we're going to use a wheel. For every division, we're going to have 3 teams from that division on a wheel, and then the quarterback from the 4th team will watch as we spin to see which rival they're going to be going to. So Jaden Daniels from the Washington Commanders is gonna go to Dallas, as you can see from the result of the wheel, and in return, Dak Prescott is gonna go to the Commanders, which means the 2 remaining teams are gonna switch quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts from Philadelphia is gonna be going to New York. In return, Drew Lock is headed to Philly, and the NFC East is complete. As for the AFC East, Josh Allen is going to watch as we spin to see where he's going to be taking his talents, and just like Jalen, he's headed to New York. In return, the Jets still currently have Aaron Rodgers, so that's who they're going to be trading to Buffalo, which means the 2 remaining teams, the Patriots and Dolphins, are going to swap quarterbacks. Tua's headed to New England, Drake May to Miami. On to the NFC West, Brock Purdy is the one sitting out. He's going to see which one of his 3 division rivals he's headed to. It's going to be the Seattle Seahawks, which means Geno Smith is going to be headed to San Fran, which means Matthew Stafford is going to be heading to Arizona, and in return, Kyler Murray is going to Los Angeles. One of the biggest spins of the video, Mahomes is going to sit out, and where he goes could change the entire landscape of this division. Going to end up being Denver. So now Bo Nix, the rookie from last year, is headed to Kansas City to play under Andy Reid, and that means Justin Herbert is going to leave LA and head to Las Vegas. So the Raiders make a nice come up. Minshew is headed to the Chargers. As for the NFC North, Jared Goff is watching his wheel spin very closely. Some good teams in his division, and he's actually going to be heading to Chicago. We'll see if he can help the Bears get to the playoffs, and whether Caleb Williams can replace his production in Detroit. So you already know that means the 2 remaining teams in the NFC North, the Packers and the Vikings, are going to swap quarterbacks. Right now, that means Sam Darnold and Jordan Love. Now the AFC North has 2 elite tier quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson is the one that's going to watch the wheel spin. And yeah, I think both teams are pretty happy with this. Given the other options, the Bengals is where he's headed. And in return, the Baltimore Ravens get Joe Burrow. 2 elite quarterbacks switching teams. So the Steelers and the Browns are going to switch quarterbacks. Guys that have been in the league a very long time, Wilson and Winston. On to the NFC South, Baker Mayfield has to be the best quarterback in his division, right? Like, in my opinion, he is. And now he's going to be headed to division rival New Orleans. So a nice upgrade for the Saints. Derek Carr headed to Tampa Bay. That means Kirk Cousins is going to leave Atlanta and return. Bryce Young is headed to ATL, so a slight upgrade for the Falcons. And last but not least, the AFC South, CJ Stroud, the one sitting out and watching our final wheel spin of the video. He's going to be headed to Jacksonville. I think the Jaguars have to be pretty happy with this spin. They lose Lawrence, but you get a guy who's 9 overalls higher. And that means our last swap of the video is going to be Will Levis heading from Tennessee to Indianapolis. Maybe these young quarterbacks just need to change the scenery. It's time to find out. Give me your predictions, man. Every starting quarterback has swapped teams but stayed in their division. Who's gonna make it to the Super Bowl? I want to see some good predictions, man. Let me know. I'm gonna make sure every quarterback that swapped teams is the starter, no matter what. Even if they're the 2nd highest overall on their team, like Drew Lock in Philly, they will be starting. So yeah, let me see what you guys think in the comments. Destroy that like button if this was a fun idea, man. We're going to see what the outcome ends up being. If you like videos like this, let me know by liking the video. No surprise, the Ravens and Bengals make the playoffs. The Jags and Texans make it. Same with the Jets and Bills. And then the Broncos with Mahomes. So 3 swaps and 6 quarterbacks from those swaps make it in the AFC. Chiefs, Steelers barely miss out. How did your team do? Did the team you predicted in the AFC even make the playoffs? Don't lie. The Falcons with Bryce go 14-3. Same with Dak and the Commanders. Geno and the Niners go 13-4. Stafford and the Cardinals get to the playoffs. Same with Darnold and the Packers, Baker and the Saints, and then Caleb Williams and the Lions. The Bucks were one game away with Derek Carr. And then you had a bunch of teams that missed out. Goff and the Bears go 4-13. Maybe Caleb needs a little bit more credit. Cowboys with Jaden Daniels, Giants with Hurts. Both go 8-9. Goff had a good season in Chicago, though. I don't want to put it on him. Lamar, 40-9 ratio. He killed it. Rodgers with a decent season. Same with Mahomes, slightly above average. Russell Wilson did okay in Cleveland. Derek Carr threw a lot of touchdowns, but also a lot of interceptions. Stafford took care of the football, threw a lot of touchdowns. Minshew didn't take care of it that well, unfortunately. Bo Nix did his thing in Kansas City. Levis, more interceptions than touchdowns in Indy. Prescott, nice ratio for the Commanders. Daniels threw more interceptions than I expected. Drake May, solid season, 2-to-1 ratio. I made Locke the starter, and I guess they made Pickett the starter. I don't know what happened there. My apologies, but oh my goodness, Bryce Young destroys the record. 59 touchdowns to go along with 5,000 yards. I've never hopped off the Bryce Young train. Ask anybody. Gino also cooked up, man. I've always been a fan of his. We share the same birthday, okay? So I'm always rooting for him in his corner. 49 touchdowns. Okay, Hurts did okay in New York. Stroud did his thing in Jacksonville. Oh my goodness, Josh Allen. 45 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. I don't know if it's a lock for Bryce Young to get that MVP. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks having great seasons. Caleb had a good season. Darnold, 41 ratio. Cousins might be a little bit washed, but hey, he made a lot of money in his career. It's all good. A lot of interceptions right there. Tua, 2-to-1 ratio. Not bad. Same with Herbert in Las Vegas. Kyler, what is going on, man? Too many interceptions, especially with that supporting cast he had on the Rams. Burrow took care of the football in Baltimore. He was probably asked to run more than he usually does. Baker, of course, cooked in New Orleans. Same with Purdy in Seattle. Winston, well, you get the good with the bad with him. So yeah, that's what ended up happening in Pittsburgh. Lawrence killed it with that receiving core in Houston. What happened with Anthony Richardson? 40 interceptions. You just gotta feel bad. I mean, Madden just doesn't like him, I guess. That's insane. Speaking of 40, that's how many touchdowns Jordan Love threw, but it was not quite the most in the league. It was tied for 4th most behind Allen, Gino, and of course Bryce Young, who had that record-setting performance this season. Can the Falcons go far in the playoffs? Rodgers, Lamar, Nix, and May in the top 5 behind Bryce. I still can't believe that season he had. I mean, I get it. The Falcons have a good supporting cast, so hey, it's not too far-fetched that they could get that type of production. Mixon, Jacobs, Jones, Pacheco in that top 5 for rushing yards. Here's everyone that had at least 1,000. Most rushing touchdowns, Mixon. So him and Lawrence leading a really good offensive attack in Houston. So maybe they make some noise in the playoffs. Ray McCloud with a career season, 1,500 yards to lead everyone. Waddle, Cup, Sutton, and Ayuk. Remember, every single wide receiver core got a new starting quarterback. Even the Eagles with Kenny Pickett, because he wasn't a starter. So hey, it is what it is. Waddle, Sutton, Chase, Cup, and Mandrews. Only 5 tight ends / wide receivers to get 100+ receptions. Oh yeah, Debo is in Washington. I made sure to trade him there before the video started. Ray was first in 2 categories for wide receivers / tight ends. Most receiving touchdowns with 22. He was Bryce Young's favorite target. We'll see how he does in the playoffs. Throwing his way. Bentley, most tackles. Burns, most tackles for a loss with 23. By far the most in the league, but most sacks goes to Hutchinson. Crosby, half a sack behind. Watt, Quinnen Williams, Zaven Collins in that top 5 interceptions. 9 of them for Cameron Curl. Adebo had 8, and then a couple guys with 7. Moment of truth. Yearly awards. Bryce winning MVP. How can you not be happy for him, man? Allen and Mahomes in the top 3. Gino, Darnold in that top 5. Burrow and Lamar both in the top 10. Dak on the Commanders. Maybe he deserves a little bit more respect, man. Rodgers and Baker also in that top 10. Mixon wins OPOY. Crosby DPOY in the AFC. Hutchinson takes it home in the NFC, and then McCaffrey wins OPOY. But look at that, 2 Falcons, no, 3 of them in the top 5. So it's obvious why they got the 1 seed. Meanwhile, Burrow and the Ravens with the 1 seed. Will both of those teams Like the matchup they get in the divisional. Ravens get 7th seed Buffalo with Aaron Rodgers. They just upset the Jags with CJ Stroud. Meanwhile, Lamar and the Bengals got past Allen and the Jets. And they're facing off against Mahomes and the Broncos, who beat Lawrence and the Texans. So that vaunted Houston offense goes home in the wild card. Meanwhile, Bryce and the Falcons going to be playing against Caleb and the Lions. Dak and the Commanders go home in round 1. The Niners with Geno beat Baker and the Saints. And then Darnold and the Packers take care of Stafford and the Cards. But only 4 teams can make it to the conference championship game. Rodgers and the Bills keep on winning. Burrow and the Ravens, the 1 seed, go home. Meanwhile, Bryce helps the 1 seed get to the conference championship game. Caleb and Detroit lose a thriller. Mahomes brought that playoff prowess with him to Denver. They win against Lamar and the Bengals. And then Geno and the Niners take care of Darnold and the Packers. Our final 4 is set. Clearly, Rodgers still has something left, man. Maybe I'm one of the few people that still believes he does, because I've been such a huge fan of his entire career. One of the most aesthetically pleasing throwers of the football in NFL history, in my opinion. And obviously, his touchdown interception ratio, one of the best. I think it might be the best ever. Anywho, right now, he has a tall task ahead of him. Broncos defense is no joke. Pat Surtain, DPOY. Now Rodgers is going to have to pass it to avoid a 3 and now. Over the middle, interception. This has a chance to be a pick 6. Rodgers prevents that from happening, but still great field position thanks to Cody Barton. They go 5 wide on 2nd and goal. Mahomes back in the end zone. Javonte Williams gets the first points of the game. All right, let's see how Rodgers and his offense bounce back. They have plenty of talent. Even though I'm just noticing both of these teams were within 1 game of 500. Bills 1 game over. Broncos 1 game under. And they're in a conference championship game. I don't think that's ever happened in real life, but it is possible because, you know, you squeak in and then a guy like Mahomes at quarterback, you know what he can do when playoff time comes around. First down Buffalo. Big 3rd down and 1. Bills in the I form. Cook gonna get the carry, but not the first down. Great play by the Broncos front 7, forcing Buffalo to settle for 3. Bass gets them on the board, but they're down 7-3, and the Broncos get ball at halftime. But wait a minute, it's 10-10. So shout out to the Bills for fighting their way back into it. They're down 7 once again in the 4th quarter, and they have to go over 85 yards to tie this one up at 17. Rodgers gonna throw Surtain's direction. I try to tell him, do not do that. He won DPOY for a reason. Pick 6 Denver. And that ended up being the dagger. The Broncos, led by Mahomes, are going to the Super Bowl. Now it's time to find out who he will be playing against. He's familiar with this Niners team, but can they get past ATL? Oh, if Kittle keeps on playing like that, I don't think so. A little bit of miscommunication. It hits the back of his jersey. And now it's 2nd and 10. They're lucky it wasn't intercepted. McCaffrey in motion. Geno over the middle. There we go. This time Kittle catches it and gets the first down. A lot of motion early on for CMC. And you can see why. Because you can get mismatches. Huge gain down the sideline. They're across midfield. Niners wide receiver core is going to look a little bit different next season without Debo, but you still have this guy, Brandon Ayuk, when healthy. Very capable wide receiver 1. Can the Falcons get a goal line stand? There's a scenario where the Niners get the first without getting a touchdown. Jordan Mason up the gut, not going to get either. Rook with the nice tackle, 4th and 1. And they're going to keep the Niners out of the end zone. Great stop by ATL. Bryce, with all these weapons, should give Falcons fans hope that Penix can do the same thing in real life. I don't see why not. Kirk was cooking till he aggravated his injury midway through the season. He was doing really well. Remember he had that 400-yard game or 5 touchdowns, one of those, where it was a back and forth battle, I think against Tampa Bay. So it's possible. You have the foundation. 3rd down and 7 though. Gotta avoid a quick 3 and now bunch to the right. Robinson in motion. Both teams have really good receiving backs, but right there, Drake London drops a first down reception, and ATL is gonna punt. Now let's go to the 4th quarter, see if this one's close. Niners with an early lead, but it's a low-scoring game until the Falcons getting touchdown on the board. 7-9 heading into half number 2. Can Mr. Young tie this one up in the 4th quarter? They're down 7. These teams had different regular seasons than the teams in the AFC Championship game. Both of them had 13+ wins. Will this be 4-down territory territory for the Falcons. 3rd down and 8. 4-man rush from San Fran. Bryce, top of the screen, incomplete. Great deflection right there. Charvarius Ward forcing the Falcons to punt. Geno still passing his football, and I see why. Brandon Ayuk just wide open over the middle. 1:48 left in this game. Niners in field goal range. 3rd and 10. They get this first. The game is over. Geno finds his man, Ricky Pearsall. And we have Mahomes versus the Niners in the Super Bowl again. Here are their ranks on the season. Niners have a top 3 offense. Broncos have a top 10. However, the Niners have a great run defense, but the worst pass defense in the league. And the Broncos have a pretty good pass defense. So it's looking like it should be a shootout. First team on offense, the Denver Broncos. Sutton is a really good wide receiver 1 right there. He got a target, and I might have jinxed him because he dropped it. But I still think my statement rings true. If you watch him, very underrated. Mahomes has to get rid of it. Some familiar faces on this front 7, Bosa being one of them, that he already battled on the biggest stage. 3rd down, what a laser. Devon Vele keeps the chains moving. How many of you had this prediction? Be honest. Okay, there's none of you. Let's be honest. There's no way. Maybe Mahomes, maybe the Niners, but not both of them. I mean, the Broncos finished under 500. A lot of their playoff success has to be attributed to their quarterback, and maybe this guy too, Sutton. We saw the run game not doing much, so they've had to rely on their passing game. 3rd and 4, they're going to rely on it again. Niners send a blitz. That's a 1st down. Marvin Mims gets them inside the 30. Looks like man coverage. Mahomes facing off against the blitz. Oh, that's a beautiful pass. I didn't think Troutman would get there, but he catches the first touchdown of the game. How do Geno and the Niners respond? They have to get some points, or at least move the ball a little bit. A quick 3 and out is not ideal. McCaffrey with a nice gain. I still think this can be the end result for the Niners next season, even without Debo. Pearsall is coming into his own. McCaffrey getting healthy, but you gotta avoid plays like that. Quick interception. Geno throws it right into the hands of Riley Moss, one of the few white cornerbacks in the league. Steps up on the biggest stage just like Cooper DeJean. 3rd and 8, last play of the first quarter. Niners have a chance to hold them to 3, but Troutman is killing them. He's down to the 3. But the Niners defense does its job and holds the Broncos to 3. 3rd down and 10. We've reached the 2-minute warning. Broncos looking to get off the field and not give them a touchdown. Play action. Here comes the blitz. Geno just gets rid of it, but it's not good enough for a first. They're going to settle for 3. Let's see if the Broncos can add to their lead before halftime. Yes, they're up 10 in the 3rd quarter, and now it's not even a game. 26-3, 29-3. Mahomes does it again. This time for a division rival. The Broncos hoist the Lombardi for the first time since Peyton Manning was leading the way. Still, shout out to Geno and the Niners for getting this far. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Please like it. Can we get to 500 likes? That would be amazing. I'll see you on the next one.
'Cause I'm on one, ay, number 1, ay, I'm the one, yeah, getting it done, ay, yeah, this one of them ones, yeah, roll one up, ay, and fill my cup, ay, on my way up, yeah, ay, 'cause I'm on one, yeah, number 1, I'm the one, yeah, getting it done, ay, this one of them